Welcome to Business Wit's Better Business Results. My name is John Witt, and I'm your host. Today our guest is Art Locke, and Art is a focal point coach out of the Dallas, Texas area. Art, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, John, thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to talking to you today.
So Art, share a little bit about focal point coach, why you became a focal point coach, what you did before then. How'd you get to this space?
Yeah, great question. So I spent 35 years or so in the telecommunications sector on the service side of it, meaning I spent a lot of my career making sure the companies I worked for, which included AT&T and Lucent and Alcatel and Nokia, were delivering network services against very stringent contract requirements, usually on a global basis. And I always had the fortune to be able to have direct client interface, lead teams of amazing people, and help develop those teams to meet these extremely high expectations under crisis management conditions. And so after that career, I wanted to do something where I had a chance to give back and transfer and kind of capitalize on the skills I learned to help, in this case, small business owners who also want to create awesome service experiences for their clients.
Sure. So you've been with Focal Point, what, 5 years now?
Yeah, 5 years. In fact, it was just about 5 years ago this time that I was thinking about joining Focal Point, and I'm really glad I did. It's been just awesome. It's a great group to work with, and I think we have amazing tools for our clients. It's incredibly challenging on a personal basis because every client's different. Everyone's trying to achieve different things, and it really tests my ability to bring all the business acumen I've learned over my career, coupled with great collateral and tools to help my clients in a very customized and personal way.
So in your 5 years, you've worked with a variety of, a bunch of different small business owners, and you built this new tool. We're going to talk about it. It's for scaling, for business owners, how to scale their business. What was
Yeah.
what was your experience in the marketplace with these customers that drove you to create this tool?
Well, the experience I've had with my clients has been the anxiety and angst and confusion about sometimes the very first steps to take to scale a business. And so I have clients who, for example, I have a client today who's a $500,000 client, wants to develop a $10 million business. And so, there are a lot of choices. And for me as a coach, there wasn't necessarily a systematic kind of well thought through way to help a specific client understand what he or she should do and in what order, and what the risk might be of, for example, building a team, or how much to spend on marketing, or whether they should consider a partnership. There's lots of ways to scale. And so it's really kind of bedeviled me. And as I found out, there are many other focal point coaches who are wrestling with the exact same kinds of questions. So what's the best way to help clients grow their businesses in a way that's efficient for the client and kind of de-risks the journey they're about to take?
Well, and so you've built, we're going to share it in just a little bit, you've built sort of a cheat sheet, checkbox, checklist system to help people figure out what the next step or what the steps are to scale their business. And we'll talk about that in a minute, but talk about who benefits from this tool. I mean, who would really say, yeah, this is awesome?
Yeah. So for me, it's always been the client or business owner who really does want to grow his or her business. They're not content with where they are. They see there's a much bigger market they could penetrate. So they really are committed to growth, but they're dealing with all of the challenges that growth brings, increasing responsibility, increasing demands on their time, choices and risks. So it's really for that person. If a client's happy where they are, and a lot of clients are, frankly, they're running very good businesses and, at a stage in their career where they're harvesting their investment, it's not so much for them. But, if someone's really trying to grow, it's a great way to help them think, what do they have to do to grow from their current level of business? Let's say they're earning less than $1 million in revenue, to the next level. What are the things that need to be in place? And for those clients, I think this tool really helps them think about what they have to do in a very tactical way.
Yeah, we want to be committed, because if they're not committed, it's not going to happen. and driven. You know, because they're going to have to work through, because even with a checklist and a cheat sheet, it doesn't do the work for you. So you're going to have to work
Right.
through the issues to get to that next level. But it gets a lot easier when you've got a checklist. We all know things are easier with a checklist. We don't forget things. We focus in on the most important things first. That makes a huge
Right.
difference.
Yeah, exactly. And in fact, on that very point, I met with one of my clients yesterday, and we had gone through the scaling tool, which we're talking about here, a few weeks ago. Out of it, we had identified 9 separate activities that he needs to do in, I'll say, the short to medium term to position himself for growth. And we met yesterday. He said, I really want to build out my 2019 plan. Let's go through the items. And we did go through the items that are really important for him. And he is really critically thinking about what he's got to do between now and the end of the year, as well as what he's got to do in 2019 to put himself in a position where he's built the structure, the standards, kind of the foundation of the business that he can then more efficiently scale.
So let's talk a little bit about the tool itself, the areas that it covers, and how you created the tool.
Yeah, that's great. So it was 6 months or so ago within the Focal Point community, a number of coaches who were all interested in this. We all got together. We actually created a mastermind. We meet twice a month or so. And we were wrestling with what's the best way to help our clients. And so the idea that came out of our discussions was, could we build a tool that would help clients understand what they have in place today and what might be missing when you look at the best practices or experiences of thousands and thousands of companies in terms of what they've done to grow effectively. We also realized that there are different plateaus. And so, a small business, say less than $1 million in revenue, it doesn't have the same needs of a business with, $20 million in revenue. It's a much simpler business to run. So we came at I guess we developed the notion that, one, there are levels, or let's call them plateaus in growth. This is consistent with what Vern Harnish talks about in the Rockefeller Habits, for example. And then could we differentiate for our clients what should be in place for a small business, what should be in place for medium-sized business, and how do larger businesses deal with ever-growing complexity? So think of a set of columns. And then the rows are functional. What should be in place in terms of sales? What should be happening in terms of marketing? What should be happening in terms of human resources, customer service, financial management, product development, production and delivery, even leadership of the owner? So you could think of it's a functional view kind of built upon an assessment of the size of the company. And the goal, of course, always is, so, for example, in marketing, what things should be in place? Well, small businesses should definitely have developed their value proposition. Small businesses should understand their strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and threats. They should have developed at least a rudimentary business plan. I think that's understood. A larger business would have a lot more depth in all those areas, be constantly reviewing it and so on. So I hope that helps a little bit. It is a checklist, so to speak, but it's broken down by function and by the size the businesses today. It helps them understand what they have to do to get to the next level as efficiently and with as little risk as possible.
Well, if I were to paraphrase, I'd say, I've seen this tool. I think it's amazing. It's a matrix, right? So we've got 3 columns, and we've got businesses under $1 million, businesses 1 to 10 million, and businesses greater than 10 million. And then we've got the functional areas going down the left side, functional rows. You've got about 8 different categories of functional rows, and then inside each category, or the intersection of the column and the row, is a list of activities that are necessary to accomplish to be able to get to the next level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you said it much better than me. Thanks.
Well, I was just trying to paraphrase it so it was simple and easy for me to understand. So how would people get a copy, or how would people reach out? How should they take advantage of this new tool?
Yeah, I think the best advice I can give there is contact your local Focal Point coach. The tool was developed within the Focal Point community of coaches for Focal Point coaches. And so if you're working with a Focal Point coach today, they have access to this tool. If you're not working with a coach today and interested in the tool, The best way to get access to it would be to go to focalpointcoaching.com, which is our main site, and there is a coach search capability on that platform, and you can find a local coach near you and talk about your desires in this area. And I don't doubt for a minute that I've used this tool several times over the last few weeks with both current clients and with prospects. It's just amazing the kind of discussions you can have with either a client or a prospect as they really think about their business. And what's great about the tool, from my perspective, is it quickly exposes areas where the business owner really hasn't been paying enough attention or investing enough, or maybe skating by a little bit, or maybe doesn't understand the importance of that thing. And so, and that was really the purpose of it. It's not so much about just checking off a set of boxes. Okay, I got it done. It's really about the conversation between myself and a business owner about the best way to grow their business and how to help them think about prioritizing what they need to do to continue to invest in a business that's strong and sustainable.
Well, I think some of the things on the list are going to raise an owner's eyes. Though I didn't even think about that. I didn't even know about that.
Yeah.
And then even if it doesn't surprise them, and even if they're aware of it, how to execute it, how to implement it. What's the best way to do that? It's and they say the devil's in the details, right? The idea of having an idea of what to do and executing, two different things. But if you don't execute, it doesn't work, right? The idea doesn't help.
Yeah, exactly. And so yes, and that to me is why it's so valuable, because it's based on best practices. This is what great companies at this kind of revenue range do. And so that we can argue priorities and what's more important, what do we do first, second, third, but ultimately what we're trying to do is provide real specific insight into the things that make companies great. And if you want to be one of those great companies, you can use this tool to help you understand what to do. We can help with priority. We can help with tactics. And the other thing I found, which is really interesting about it, is the smaller guys look at it and say, hey, I also see what's kind of in front of me. So when I am a $10 million business, I kind of get a sense now of what kind of company I'm going to have to run. So for some of these clients, but the fact that it kind of gives them a glimpse into what it takes to run a really big company has also been really valuable for my clients.
Yeah, I see that. The other thing is that the tool set, the collateral that you have from Focal Point, there are tools and collateral that are specifically designed to attack each of those items that are on the checklist and make it easier for people to understand and implement. So between a coach and the collateral and the checklist, you've got a system that'll move you faster than if you have to figure it out all by yourself.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And so in that sense, the tool is a diagnostic tool, which is great. And my experience, it takes them 90 minutes or so of conversation to kind of work through the tool with a prospect or a client. But but that's just the beginning, right? But it's great to have that beginning. It's great to have then a clear roadmap. As for example, in the discussion I had with my client Justin yesterday, we went through the list. We've prioritized it. He knows what he's got to do. He's already making progress on some items. For example, he's a small company, doesn't have a CRM. Well, I think it's really difficult to grow a company when you don't have an effective way to manage your contacts, your sales funnels, and your opportunities. So he's in the process of getting a CRM. Simple things like that, which he kind of knew he had to do, but he didn't necessarily understand it might be in the way of growth. Those things get surfaced through the tool. We can then take specific action against it, position him, for growth in a much more organized and effective way. And, CRMs these days, they don't really cost much money to get access to. So for a small investment and a little bit of his time and some organization and thought, he's positioning himself, for massive growth. And I think that's fantastic.
Right. So if they're in Texas, they should reach out to you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in the Dallas area. And so I'm accessible certainly to people in the Dallas-Fort Worth area at arthurlocke.focalpointcoaching.com. And again, as I said, I think there are Focal Point coaches all over the country, in Canada, frankly, all over the world. And any one of them would be more than happy to help a prospect or an interested party understand how they could use this tool in their business.
Well, and I'll be using the tool as well. And so in Southern California, you can certainly reach out to me, and I'll put the information in, sort of a slide on the back of this video, so people have quick access to, how to get a hold of the tool, how to reach out to somebody that can help them. Art, I really
Cool.
appreciate your time. It's been awesome, and thank you so much for sharing. This is a wonderful new tool. I think it's going to be able to help a lot of people.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, that was the whole point, right? And so that's why we're here. That really is, I think, our mission is to help the small business owner get control over his or her business. And, this tool is just one of many, many tools we can bring to bear to help achieve that mission with our clients. And so, John, again, thank you for making your time available today to talk about this fantastic topic.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's Art Locke, Focal Point Coach in Dallas. Thanks for joining us today.
Bye.